What up, guys? It's your brother Joe here, and welcome once again back to my F1 2020 My Team career mode. We are now heading into Montreal, and I'm getting more and more upgrades for the car, and we are getting ever closer to the mid-pack. In fact, we seem to be on par with quite a few of the mid-pack, to be honest, and on power, we're actually looking better, so we should be able, especially on a power track like Montreal, where you've got that massive back straight, we should be able to have quite a competitive weekend. We're also purchasing some more upgrades, so we should have a fairly decent car. But we come into practice, and I've got a question here. What in the name of the devil's foreskin was Mick Schumacher doing here? I thought he'd let me past, and I was going to take the corner. But he then tries to send it up the inside so he can pit in, and he's blocking me there again. I thought he'd tucked in behind me. That's what the arrow showed me. But on that angle, he was still alongside, trying to pit. I'm trying to take the corner, and he's knocked me straight on, and he's blocked me again, and I've got a 5-place grid penalty for it. It is what it is. Anyway, we're heading to qualifying now. We're in Q1. I have a big moment there. Oh dear. We've hit the wall. So now we're making a second, or should I say third attempt at that lap, because after that we made a second attempt and got our first lap complete, but it wasn't good enough. So now we're pushing on and trying to get a time that will get us through into Q2. Does it get us through? Quite comfortably, actually. Very comfortably. And if you look at that, we were 9th fastest, which is a very encouraging sign. And we now come into Q2, and we're very sideways there again, hitting that curb, nearly losing it. But we carry on our lap anyway, because I didn't lose particularly momentum at all. So I thought, you know what, let's continue this lap and see where we place ourselves. And it was actually the second fastest time. Only half a second off Max Verstappen, and as you can see there, it ended up being good enough to get into Q3. But I didn't elect to do any running in Q3 to save the tyres. So here we go, starting 10th for the Canadian Grand Prix.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. If you want flat-out racing, you've come to the right place this weekend, as it's full throttle for 59% of this 2.7-mile circuit, peaking at around 210 miles per hour going into the final chicane. But that speed requires discipline, and there are more than a few close walls here just waiting to punish drivers with a heavy right foot. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, they'll be the ones that are better off.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Verstappen, Perez, Stroll, Sainz, and Kimi Raikkonen. Norris, Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, and Grosjean, old-timer. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, and Pierre Gasly. Schumacher, Latifi, Russell, and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track.
Obviously, we've had that grid penalty, so we're actually starting P15. We've got the 5 red lights. It is lights out and away we go after the longest hold I think I've ever had. I'm making a good start. I'm trying to get between those two. No, that's a gap that was very quickly going to close in on me. And in fact, we've got Kevin Magnussen making his way around the outside. Illegal overtake. What rubbish are you talking, game? What absolute malarkey are you talking? But anyway, we backed out to avoid a penalty. And we're down to 19th. It really is quite a dismal start. We're alongside Gasly there. And Gasly still alongside there, not willing at all to give it up, but I pretty much forced him, gave him a choice to either give up or go in the wall, which, not very clean defending by my part at all, I've got to say, but we're in P18, and look who we're coming up to. We are coming up to Mick Schumacher, and after making me get a 5-place grid penalty, Gasly's still all over me, by the way. After making me get a grid penalty, he wants to stay the hell out of my way as we send it up the inside of him. We've given Grosjean a little love tap there, but we won't take any damage from that. And Schumacher's still trying to get alongside, but if I were him, I would just back off now while you still have a full car intact, because I still was very much not impressed by that at all. And at a time where, you know, I'm thinking about contracts, thinking about who my second driver should be, especially with some of the performances, I would tread very carefully, Mickey, my boy. I would tread very carefully. Right, we're behind Kevin Magnussen now, having a look at him. I think we're going to get the move done relatively soon. And, yep, we did get the move done relatively soon. And now we're looking at Giovinazzi. I don't remember passing Magnussen. I couldn't find it on the footage for some reason. But it is what it is. There's us passing what I believe is Giovinazzi. Now we've got the other Haas of Romain Grosjean, and we are absolutely looking to send it down the inside of the first corner, which we have done. I will applaud myself on that one because that was a brilliant overtake. We just absolutely launched it down his inside. He had no chance there. All he could do was just lie back and take it. Right, we're coming up to Esteban Ocon now. And we're also coming up to a yellow flag, meaning someone's had a failure. Someone's car has given up the ghost. Who is it? Given up the ghost? I don't know what analogy that was. It's Carlos Sainz that's out of the race, as I really get my analogies confused. And now we've got a few cars together that are absolutely scrapping it out. We've got Ocon, we've got Ricciardo, the two Renaults, and I'm not looking to waste time getting past Ocon, sending it down the inside, and again nearly hitting someone, doing it in the process like we did with Mick Schumacher and hitting one of the Hasses. We've got past Ocon now, and again it's Operation Send It on Ricciardo, and you've got to be absolutely sure to send it. I'm saying absolutely way too much. Gonna try and avoid saying that word. Right, we've got to be 100% committed if we're going to pass him, but we're now coming up to our first pit stop of the day, and we're actually having a not so bad run considering we started 15th and dropped to the back. We're still in the relative midfield, so points could be up for grabs here, and especially with rain coming up later, I decided to take another set of soft tyres. I'm not quite sure why they were the tyres I went for, but I must have heard that rain is coming relatively soon, but it doesn't look like rain is on its way soon. If anything, it looks like it's still dry, but on this game I found it clouds over very, very fast. Right, we are now onto the rear of Ricciardo. We're right in his slipstream. We're going to have a look on the inside line. We're going to send it down his inside here. We have sent it down the inside. That is 10th place. That is 12th place, sorry. And, well, pending other people pitting, we should be in 10th. And next up is Lando Norris. And, well, that was a bit of a cheeky look, wasn't it? That was never a move that was going to happen. That was more of a cheeky look to see if I could frighten him out of the way, as I set a very nice little personal best. And Norris holding on. And Raikkonen is ahead of us both in 9th. So there are 2 places up for grabs here. We've really made such a storming drive up the field to get into P11, sorry. But I have had enough of being behind Norris. I've put it down his inside, but I've gone wide, I've locked up, and gone straight across the corner. That's embarrassing. And now I've recovered, and Daniel Ricciardo has got past me. Esteban Ocon is having a look as well. And once again, both Renaults back in front of me, but I've kept it on the inside of Ocon. And this is the view from Ocon. Did we run him out of road a little bit on the left and force him almost into the wall? No, I'd say we gave him a fair amount of space. But we also frightened him by sending it up the inside. And now we're sending it back on Ricciardo for 11th place. I really need to pay attention to the screen. But we're up to P11 now. Next up is Lando Norris, and that is Nicholas Latifi having a failure. His car has had enough for the day. That's bad luck for him. But that's a safety car for us now. And it has started to rain, but it's not raining hard enough to merit a pit stop under the safety car, which again could have helped us further. But, you know, it is what it is. We're getting ready to go back racing again. Lando Norris is in that critical 10th place. I want that 10th place off of him. I'm going to take that 10th place off of him. I'm going to send it up the inside and get the move done. And that is us into the top 10. Sitting nicely for a point. There are more places to be gained. And the rain is just starting to come down that bit heavier now. Oh, that's some very interesting interpretations of the circuit, Joe. We're now up to Kimi Räikkönen, and maybe even Perez could be takeable here. We might have the 9th best car, but I tell you what, we're very even up to about 5th or 6th best in the R&D upgrades area, as Ricciardo just comes out of nowhere and sends it up my inside. I wasn't ready for that one, and we got an illegal overtake. I tried to let him go through, but I've ended up going across trying to do that as there was the right kink that caught me out big time. So I've gone wide and I've allowed up to 4 cars get past me. So now we're trying to get past Ricciardo again. That was a huge mistake to make. It's just where that right kink was as I was slowing down to let Ricciardo through that it's caught me out, and I went to the right, which then blocked him. Norris got through and the 2 Renaults both got through, as did Grosjean. And I've managed to get past all 3 of them on the same straight. And Grosjean, semi-legally, I would say. Semi-legally. But we're now back into 11th. Back chasing down Lando Norris. I want that final point. We've gone a little bit wide. And we've gone round! We have gone round in this Canadian Grand Prix. That is a disaster for us. We're going to fall straight back down to last place. That was such a silly mistake to make. We'd gone wide, and on the damp track, absolutely flooring it, we went round. And there's that word again, absolutely. I've got to stop saying that. We completely got that wrong, and now we're into the pits for a set of intermediate tyres. I cannot even fathom how much I'm kicking myself, because that was such a stupid little spin, and we were knocking on the door of a top 10 there, maybe even further. And now we're back down to last place with it all to do from here as I nearly go round again out of the pits. And now we're just pushing as hard as we can, trying to catch up and limit the damage that has been done. So, next up is Daniel Kvyat, and we are on the rear of him. We're also on the rear of Kevin Magnussen, and we are looking to take them both. I am in no mood for waiting around, so I'm going to send it. And they have one choice. Get out of my way or there's a collision. That spin honestly put me in such a revolting mood. It's not even funny. Down the inside of Kvyat we've gone. That's 19th. Next up is Magnussen. A little bit of a slide round there, but we have made it. And Magnussen is next. We're sending it up the inside of the first corner. Something of a favourite overtaking spot for me there. And we've got into P18. And it's getting very, very wet out there. We're not wet enough for full wets, but it's wet, it's slippery, and I'm just finding grip and pace somehow, which is allowing me to catch the next guys up, which is Ricciardo and Schumacher, who is in 16th place. And again, you know, coming up to contract time, I am thinking, what do I do about Schumacher? I'll decide that when it comes round, though, as we're sending it up the inside of Ricciardo. Ricciardo is fighting back a bit, but I'm just going to give him a cheeky little shot to say, forget about it. Forget about it. You are not coming past, bucko. You can stay back. Right, next up is Mick Schumacher, our teammate. And if he wants to stay in my good books, he had better not make this difficult for me. So, I'm just going to send it. And you are going to allow me through. That is how this is going down. That is how this went down. That is P16. Thank you. Next. Next up is George Russell. And we send it at the chicane. Braking very late. I'm amazed I made the corner. But that is P15. We made the corner. We made the place. And I'm here thinking, you know, there's a few laps to go. Can we possibly take a point out of what has been a dire race? Diving up the inside of Giovinazzi. That was a bold and ambitious one. But we got it. Warning collision! Rubbish! Barely touched him. I've never heard such a load of rubbish in my life. Anyway, we are now coming up to Pierre Gasly for 13th. And I believe I've just made him my rival as well. So we want to beat him. I won my rivalry with Ocon. And I need to win my rivalry with Pierre Gasly, who is sat there in P13. But we are going to make easy work of him. Because again, I'm finding grip. I'm finding pace. And quite a lot of it. And we're going to have a little look. Oh, that's turned into a full-scale move. Okay, you know what? I'll admit that was a collision there. We nearly end up going round again out the hairpin. But we just hold Gasly off. And that is a fair warning. Unlike the one I got for Giovinazzi. So we're up to 13th. Norris next. And again, bullying them out the way in the hairpin. And that is P12. You gotta be kidding. That was I barely touched him. I didn't even touch him. This game is talking out its ass now. Right, up to Grosjean for 11th. And this is going to be another send it straight up the inside, which I have. And Ocon is only 4 seconds up the road. Can I find the pace to catch him and still salvage a points finish from this race? And Perez right ahead of him as well. In fact, with 2 laps to go, I have caught him. Well, I say 2 laps. It's more 1.5 at this point. And there is a little train here. And I'm wondering how many positions are up for the taking. We're having a look at Ocon. Are we going to make it through at the hairpin? Certainly going to think about it. We're taking the dive. And we've got that one done. And now we are right up the rear of Perez. Though we've got it really sideways out the corner. That might allow Ocon to just come back at me. Is he coming back at me? No. He seems to be falling back a little bit, if the player marker is anything to go by. And now it's time to have a look at Perez. We're going to send it up the inside here and hope for the best. I've sent it, but he's not giving me the room. He's turned in. I've gone into him. And that has really compromised my exit. And now Esteban Ocon is really up my rear. He's having a look at my inside. I've given him next to no space there to try it. He's still welcome to send it up the inside, but eventually he elects not to do that as we get it very sideways again on the exit. It's a win for Valtteri Bottas in this race, but we're just trying to hold on to 10th. And the circuit is drying up very quickly. It's almost slick ready. I wouldn't have come in for slicks at any point, but if it had been about with 3 laps to go, given how short the pit lane here, it's a gamble I would have taken. But we're up into P10 anyway. It is going to be a World Championship point that we have salvaged after starting 15th, dropping to the back, moving into the points, and then spinning out of them again. What a performance! After all that, I will take the World Championship point for 10th. Get in.
A truly magnificent drive then, and a great performance from the entire team to secure victory here in Canada. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. After an incredible performance,
Well, you can't say fairer than that then after starting where we did and all the shenanigans that happened in that race. You can't say fairer than 10th place. It's a win for Bottas with Vettel and Hamilton 2nd and 3rd. Then Leclerc, Stroll in 5th in his home race. That's really good for him. Then it's Albon, and then I scrolled down. I can't see the rest, but I'm sure you can read it all. That was a great race for us. Schumacher down in 17th. And we hold on to 9th in the standings after that. And in the Constructors, I believe that we are still holding on to 6th. Well, I'm going to leave you now with the highlights reel from this race. Thank you so much for watching. And until the next one, it is goodbye from me.